Google, and then what, of course, it leads to this voicemail. And it's so disgusting because at this St. Luke's, Columbia St. Mary, is the closest place with this neuropsychology, and they have an answering machine and not an actual phone number for customer support. So even though it's e-begging, this is what I was saying, this welfare is like these military complexes who have so much money that the politicians just play around with. That's why they always want war happening, so that they have like this money flooded everywhere, so that, and so I view that as welfare, because it is these complexes that always want war, and they're putting all these people overseas to fight so that they can have money. To me, that's ghetto AF. But this e-begging venue, this St. Luke's, Columbia St. Mary, just call them and the dispatcher will send you in a loop. And I didn't even understand, you can't call them, you leave a message with your phone number. And I don't get phone number calls on my phone. This app is that bad, it can't really accept phone calls. I wanted to upgrade, it's not there. And so this voicemail in the hospital for the neuropsychology to call me back, I left my email, not getting anything back then. This surveying with the, you can get some extra money if you cash in your points. I tried to update my phone number with my email. It's been 30 days. They haven't gotten back to me. They're the same. And so then there's this other thing in the venue of e-begging, is this cash apps. I heard on this guy like dissing people who are not well off, and they're like, you don't know business, your bank is still a cash app. And I thought cash apps were kind of cool, but I guess like looked at as cheap. So this whole e-begging thing, this venue, this economy of this digital landscaping of low end, is the apps of a phone that are not one, and these banks that are cash apps that use Credit Karma as a cash app. They'll take your money and call it a regulation E, and they'll hold your money until they get back to you. So, taking these L's in the digital landscape of low end, I'm just wrapping my head around it. I was intrigued because I think like there's a way in like shooting the breeze. You take a few surveys. Me, it's a brain teaser. I really understand a lot from doing it, but next, that was the simplicity. Here's the complexion. Black holes, if you have like this equipment and you put it over your shoulder, it's like you can't have your shoulders get straight and the equipment be rounded on your back. It's not like how stuff is made. But like if you have a black hole on either end, it's like a material that is a metamaterial, so it would be allowed to, I don't know, be something like there be holes cut out in either end of the strap over your back, and so when you lay back on the strap, your shoulders go through those holes. But it would be like having two options. At the same time, the quantum third option is like this whole premise of black holes. But attaching like black holes to stuff like that is one way in understanding what is not realistic. And as abstract as that is, that's where we're going, because that's ground level. You need ground zero, and that is mine today. Just peeking my head inside of the digital landscape, that's one landscape. There's another one, and it's called neural. I was mentioning that I'm trying to set up neural psychology testing. This is what's known as mental. And so that word is really fragile nowadays. I know if my biggest pet peeve is someone staring into the space. If someone's staring in the space and they're daydreaming, check in on them, ask them, what are you looking at? That's a lot better than letting them just sit there and stare into the abyss. Because if you stare into the abyss, then you become it. And so, what the neural, a neuron, and then a single cell organism. A single cell organism. Let's look at these shapes for a second. There's geometry. You're going to have yourself a double helix of a gene. And is that a single cell? It's not a single strand, but as a unit, it's singular. A neuron. A neuron is like a tree branch, and at either end are tiny branches that branch off of the stem as the branch in the middle, like a dumbbell, but of little branches that branch off of the weight. Can a single neuron fire? Is that how it is interacting? It's got all these other neurons around its circumference, circular, and so it's working because you've got to feed it to something. It's the message jumps from the synapse, the tip of the neuron, to another one, and so you can look at the collective as all around one single neuron as the jump to a second neuron, but have it be included with all the neurons inside of your brain. I fancy it like rods and cones. If in your eye you've got literally these like triangles and circles, circles I think are like bar shapes, but nonetheless it's literally these rods and cones are in your eyes. And are those what the cells make up the shape of, or are those inside of the cells? Because you gotta have that double helix inside of any cell, true or false. And then the shape of, when they say brain fog, is it like all the neurons are in your brain? That's like one, imagine like a flock of birds, and there's like one, or I fancy it how like a beehive, you have one queen bee and the rest are these hive, the bees inside, like making up a hive mind. Is that how like one neuron is, and then all the neurons around it are acting as bees in a hive? When they try to make like a black hole, you can do this by applying a lot of density, but it's not going to be, it'll be a synthetic black hole, as opposed to a black hole at the center of a galaxy. This is one that's been there and has all this gas that's whipped around it that's made stars and planets. That property around the black hole is significant because it's going to have a nature of normal forces. A lot of, when they say information's conserved, they're talking about a black hole, but more importantly, the solar system and galaxies, the galaxies and solar systems around one black hole in the middle of a galaxy are imperative because they have like an accumulated, and this is what it really boils down to. And if you get this, you get everything. It's that like we have to work, and like with this whole elbow grease stuff, and when people are pretending like they're holier than thou, that was my rant the other day, but that you don't have to do stuff, and that it's like granted just because they do it in a lab and it's a solution, it doesn't mean that in real time that it's going to work the same exact way. On paper, there's on paper and then boots on the ground. And so That's really when the rubber hits the road, and it's so bad that none of the people in the military who like all the generals don't actually fight with the boots on the ground anymore. They stay away in bunkers, and if they did, it would make sense with a lot of stuff. But we just have to backpedal from there, and it's to the point where like this whole Biden economics, and then you can like say a glow stick, if that breaks, and then having like bad stuff come out of the glow stick. Luciferus is big on stuff because like it's seen as a radius after it has been exposed to the area that it's on, and this is boots on the ground with like what would be micro, but the big deal is micromanaging stuff so you can like stay at home. And this is one thing that's done. It's a sloppy copy with this luciferase. It's like the chemical in the back of fireflies or glowworms. They have it naturally, but they're putting it synthetically on stuff so they can have it like as a watermark. But back to the glow stick, if that's just like a great way of explaining when something with aerosols and stuff, if it's indoors and then outdoors, it's like a huge difference, and that's really a great way to have a platform to know what dynamics you're dealing with. All right, so here's the situation. There's lowballing when it comes to an economy. What lowballing means could mean bargaining, but with e-begging, it's a different type of thing, though the same. If you've never seen someone taking a survey on a phone, there's one place that I've seen is kind of a brain teaser, and it does get you some money. Unfortunately, it's really difficult to get money if your phone doesn't have a number that's locked. Now, I was unaware of what locking a phone is, but apparently you cannot receive text messages to verify your phone if it isn't one. Excuse this wind, I feel like a sail on a sailboat. No, but really, interesting places, the crow's nest. The option to lock your phone, see, here's the lowballing is on the digital landscape. There's e-begging, and e-begging is like a atmosphere where you would see a low-end venue. This venue of low-end that succumbs to e-begging is like, and I'm just using e-begging really loosely. I'm just really understanding this for the first time off my track phone. And so there's like this phone app called Text Now, and you can download it and with Wi-Fi get free text and calls. But I wanted to upgrade so I can verify my phone number to verify, I don't know, you need a lot of things in verifying in tax season with your phone number, or on websites of platforms with your identity. They always want you to identify yourself. That's when you know if it's over accentuating that. But for this upgrading in Text Now, yeah, I paid the premium. I want to get this app going on the road. And so let's get the ball rolling. No, it's still locked, and every time I log on to this app, it says we're unable to process your purchase to lock your phone to receive verification texts. And in these things that say we'll send you a verification, you say okay, and it just doesn't. And so try calling their customer service. This is like how e-beggars view a venue of customer service. It just is like